Hey guys, and welcome back to Degracia Disorder. Now this is going to be part 2 of the beginning. So if you guys have not seen that episode yet, I'll go ahead and link it for you, and you guys might want to check that one out before you jump into this. Yeah, let's get started. So life was perfect. I got the guy and I was back to being in love again. I used to text and call guy A whenever I wanted to, any time of the day. He would pick up and he would respond. Until one day, it started getting less and less. One day, he told me, hey, if you're gonna call me, why don't you text me first, just so that I know I'm not busy. And that was kind of like red flag number 1. I'm like, wow, I've never had to do this before. Why am I doing it now? So it started happening like this maybe for about like a week or 2 until I confronted guy A about it. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, no, nothing. You know, I'm just really busy. I'm doing this for work. I'm trying to get a good evaluation report. I'm like, okay, I understand. So I get it. Everyone can be clingy, especially to someone who's really important to them. So I decided to pull myself back and understand. And things started getting even more weird. So the pattern of me having to text him before I call started becoming a habit. And it was weird because in the beginning I never had to. I was able just to go and call him whenever I wanted to talk to him. Obviously that should have been red flag number 1. One day I started getting a gut feeling that something just wasn't feeling right. And we all get those gut feelings. And I had a feeling he was talking with his girl again. And it just so happened I was right. So at my job, we're 24/7 and we work these things called mid-shifts. Now mid-shifts are pretty much like a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift in the middle of the night. And like I said, guy A knew what my schedule was. He knew that I had a mid-shift coming up. During this specific night, it was perfect. Like, me and guy A, we didn't fight. We were having a good time. We were talking all day on the phone. And everything just seemed like it was going pretty well. Until one day he told me that, hey, I'm gonna go to sleep early. And I'm like, okay, I understand you have an early shift. I hung up with him, told him I loved him, and all was good. I want to say around midnight, 1 o'clock, I get a phone call, and it just so happened to be him. It was guy A, but it wasn't his number that I saw. It was his ex-girl's number that was calling me. Obviously, around that time, I thought he was sleeping. He wasn't. He was out drinking with his ex-girl. Obviously, not ex. I was so pissed off. This guy who told me, oh, I'm just gonna go to sleep, oh, I had a good night, you know, everything like that, when I thought everything was perfect, it wasn't. That phone call made my heart sink so bad that you think that I would have stopped. But I didn't. I was hooked. So like anybody in any relationship, you're going to confront this. You're gonna wanna understand, why did you do this? I was literally at work waiting, counting down the seconds until I could confront him. Because apparently he made it home and he was just so trashed that he passed out. The typical guy A, his pass out. He gets really loud, obnoxious, thinks he rates himself as a 10, guys. When most people say that on a good day, he's a 3. Yeah, we'll go to that side later. So he goes back to his friend's place where he's rooming at, and he's passed out. I'm trying to call his roommate, and I'm like, hey, put guy A on the phone, put guy A on the phone. And I get it. Bros before hoes, right? His roommate was protecting him. Told me that he was passed out. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, is his girl there? Told me no. I don't think he would ever lie to me. Until this day, I don't think he lied to me. But I knew that his roommate protected him. Hey, all to you if you're watching this. I was so distraught, I didn't know what to do, so I had to wait. My shift ended, and I went straight to his roommate's place. And being as respectful as I can, because it was early in the morning, I gave a heads up to his roommate and said that I was gonna drop by to make sure that guy A was okay. I got to his place, and I guess he could hear my car rolling up. His roommate met me outside and said, hey, Tiff, I think you should go. He's tired, he's passed out, he's drunk, and all that. And I was like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? Like, you know what's happening. I know you know who dropped him off. I was so mad, and he literally told me, he's like, Tiff, come on, please. And I'm like, all right, all due respect, I'm not gonna do this. This is your place. So I got myself in the car and I went home. I waited till maybe about like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, waiting for guy A to wake up. He eventually woke up around 11, 12 o'clock, telling me that he needed to go and see his girl. And I guess we'll call her girl A, just to keep them together. So guy A and girl A. He told me he had to go to girl A's place. And I didn't understand why. I was like, why? And he's like, well, you know, I'm gonna go and see my son. I'm like, okay, are you sure? So I tried to confront him about the night before and how I got a phone call from him coming from girl A's phone. And the typical guy A response: I was drunk, I was passed out, I was blacked out, I don't know what you're talking about. I love you. You're the only one that matters. So when I called him, he was actually on the road heading to girl A's place, and I was like, okay, he's gonna go see his son. So in the middle of his drive, he tells me like, hey, I gotta call you back. I'm like, why? I need to talk to you about something. And he's like, hey, can we just talk about this later? Like, I really have to go. Work is calling me. Like, work? We work at the same place. Work never calls. So I hang up. He does not call me for a while. I want to say like 30 minutes to an hour. And guess what the next phone call was? The next phone call came from girl A's phone. Yeah. I picked up, being the nice person I am, and I was like, hey, what's up? Girl A confronted me and was like, hey, I know you know where guy A is at. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, you know, I don't know what he's telling you, but he's telling me this, that, 1, 2, 3. Pretty much, he was never breaking up with her. They were just on a break. That after he left and when he came back, he just needed space to think. Anyway, I was so upset. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, I need to know where guy A is. Can you have him call me? I'm like, why? And she told me that they were going to go diving. Diving? Are you serious? So you had this planned. Guy A had this planned for a while. And I told her, sure, I'll let him know you called. I ended up hanging up with her, and I started calling guy A's phone. Didn't pick up. Nothing. And in his mind, he's probably like, okay, I can go and pull off that I'm with my son, and she'll believe me. In all reality, I would have if girl A never picked up or called me. So it just so happened that my best friend, my number one best friend, he's a diver. He's a dive instructor. He was able to just ask about the roster and who were on the boats that day, who were going to go out to go and dive. And it just so happened guy A and girl A names were on the list. You guys, I dive too. Guess where I showed up? The dive harbor is not hard to find at all, and it's not like it's blocked off to only people who are on the roster to dive. So as you can imagine, when we confirmed that girl A and guy A were both on the dive roster, I decided to show up. I missed them on the boat heading out, so I had to wait for them coming back in. My best friend, we'll call him the protector. He is so funny because he was unable to get out of his responsibilities. And I know that sounds really bad. He was just watching his kids. That's all it was. We couldn't drag all 4 of his kids in my car while I confronted guy A about what was happening. Like, that was a little much. So we were video chatting and he was telling me, what am I gonna do? This and that, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, guys, I was a little petty. And I will tell you about this Jeep incident. He has a 2017 Jeep Wrangler, and I'll give you guys more detail on that in a later time. But anyways, I saw his Jeep and I was so petty, guys. I found lipstick and I wrote on the windshield and I was like, it's over, I know. And I even put lipstick on and I like kissed his window, and it was like the funniest thing. Like, I know, guys, it's so dumb. It was really dumb. I didn't do anything crazy, and you guys will understand why I didn't go slashing his tires, which, guys, don't do that. No. So I did that. I kissed his windshield. I wrote lipstick all over his front windshield. Oh, it was hilarious. So I ended up seeing the boat come back with all the divers. And this is where me and Protector's plan came in. He was like, just stay there, stare him down. And I was wearing glasses at this time. I was wearing shades. So everyone knows my car. I have a Lexus, and it's like an SUV, and everyone knows it's Tiff's car. So I see the boat pull up. I roll through to where you can see my car. You can see my car. And I roll down my window because it's tinted, and I look straight at him. I looked straight at him and I saw his face drop. Bro, you got caught. His girl was the one who gave me the drop on you. So girl A walks out first with all her equipment, and I told her, I was like, hey, thanks for the heads up. She looked down and looked up at me and she's like, what are you talking about? And I thought she was probably thinking that guy A was behind her. She was trying to cover up her tracks as well. So guy A rolls around and he starts walking, because you have to walk towards my car first, and then you have to pretty much wrap around my car to get to put your equipment away. So he starts walking towards me, and I look at him with my shades up. I put it back down, rolled my window up, and just went. That was the most satisfying feeling I have ever felt. I left, didn't even look back, didn't even look in my rear view mirror, no nothing. I got maybe about 300 messages that day. I got 100 missed calls in, like, I'm not even joking, in like an hour and a half. The most he has ever tried to call or text me. He knew I was leaving. He knew that I was done with him. Guys, I should have stopped right there and then. And I know you guys are probably like, are you serious, Tiff? You didn't. I didn't. I left all forms of communication open still. You know why? Because I knew I had the upper hand. And the thing is that I was waiting for him to grovel. I liked the fact that I knew that he wanted me. I should have blocked him and should have stopped all forms of communication. And that's why I do it now. I do it because I don't want to listen to people who make the same mistakes over and over and over again just to say, sorry, I'm not going to do it. Only for me to look like the fool and for them to just be like, oh, I got her again. Yeah, I'm learning from my past. And guy A is definitely a past. I have such a wall built around me that words don't mean anything if your actions don't back it up. To continue with this story, I didn't talk to this guy for a week. And my phone was blowing up with all these messages. And to top it all off, one of a couple few messages, or his last few messages before, obviously, I broke down. He was like, I can forgive you for so many things, Tiffany. I can forgive you for not picking up my call, for not being there for me when I needed it. That you can't give me this. Are you serious? I missed a couple phone calls. And apparently, that's literally on the same stage as you cheating on me. Yeah, I know, guys. I'd like to hear more. Stay tuned for the next episode. Loneliness. Emotional attachments. Don't let it play you guys. You guys are a lot stronger than I ever was. And I know that. I can say that because I didn't know who I was for a while. I lost myself. I didn't have time to figure out who I was after my last relationship. You guys got this. The thing is that I hope my story, I hope my past relationship helps you guys. Because the thing is that I've been there. I've gone through the worst. I've gone through the ringer and I've gone through hell. But you know what? I've also gotten back. Sure, I may have kept playing with the flames a little bit and I kept getting burned, not learning my lesson. But you know what, guys? I know some of you guys are going through some really hard experiences right now. You guys are going through like loneliness and being by yourself. Those holiday times, whew, that gets rough. But you got this. And just to let you know, here I am, 1,000 times better because I learned from this experience. I didn't let it define me. I just learned from it. So I want to thank you guys for watching this episode. Stay tuned for tomorrow's because obviously I got a lot more stories to tell you. And yeah, don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell. And I'll see you tomorrow.